Hey everyone, welcome to Happy to See Me. I'm Erika Casupanan, and this week I have the one and the only, my bestie, my number one from Survivor 41, Heather Aldret. And Heather and I talk about Survivor a lot. We go in depth. We talk about so much from the experience. We go over casting, what surprised her about filming the show in general, being purpled, her edit, what she learned, being Franken-edited, nicknames, our friendship, and why she didn't do post-show press. Before we get into it, first, I want to say thank you everybody who has listened to this pod and supported this pod. It truly means a lot. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please follow the pod on Instagram. We are at Happy to See Me Pod at Instagram. And I don't know why I say we, it's me. So at Happy to See Me Pod on Instagram. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, we also have the recordings on YouTube, so you will be able to see Heather and I giggling. I had so much fun talking to Heather. She's going to come back in the future. But for now, here is the first happy hour with Heather on Happy to See Me. Let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy it. The people have been waiting, and here you are. Welcome, my Survivor 41 bestie, Heather.
Hi, good to see you.
Always good to see you. Thank you for chatting with me today.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say we didn't see enough of you on the show. We didn't hear enough from you after the show. We can talk about that later. So let's get into all of it. And I know, as your buddy, you had a long casting journey on Survivor. Can you tell me about the casting process for you?
My casting journey, it started, I don't even know what year it started, but I applied and I went out to LA and with a group that was for 39. And so I saw Janet and Tommy and Nora and that whole group. And I was in that mix up until right at the last minute. And I was cut at the last minute. And I remember just being heartbroken. But Jesse goes, just because you're cut from this doesn't mean you're cut from it. And so come 41, here I am, because 40 was the Winners at War. And I was on the original 41. So that was my journey. So I started, what year was that then? I don't even know what year that was for 39. Do you?
2018? Because I applied for 39, but I got a call back for 41.
Oh.
I'm glad I wasn't on 39. No offense to anyone on 39, but I feel like it's good we ended up on 41 together instead.
Yeah, I just remember being heartbroken. It was like, we had to do some shuffling and I was heartbroken, but I watched it and I, cheered on some of my favorites. And it was really neat for the first time watching on television and seeing people that I physically saw in LA, even though we can't talk to anybody or don't know anything, but it was just like, oh, I remember. So like Janet was there and I'm a huge Janet fan. And so it was fun watching all of that pan out. But yeah, I was supposed to, 39 is where I got into the mix and 41 is where I ended up.
Was that the first time you applied for the show?
That's so funny because I've seen written everywhere that I've applied for like 15 years. I applied, I think, this is so weird because I don't know if the reflection is bad. After season 2, I remember when we had to send in the VCR tape and I did it with my students when I was teaching school. And that was the last time that I applied. And then this time I applied and sent in my video and I heard back within like 18 hours. So that was kind of cool.
For me, it was like, I applied as soon as it was announced Canadians could be on the show. That was in 2018. That was casting for 39. Didn't hear back. And then almost a year later, I started making a new audition tape. And then the next day, before I sent in the new audition tape, casting reached out to me and said, oh, I know it's been a long time, but we'd love to meet you. And I remember I was walking home holding groceries, and it was actually like a drop the grocery bag moment when I saw the message come in.
I had that moment too. I remember telling my husband, I said, all right, when they call me and tell me that I've made it, I said, can I call you at work and interrupt you and tell you? And he's like, okay, yeah, you can do that. And so when I got the call, it was left, as a voicemail. I heard it and I was just like, oh my God. I had to like run around a little bit and get it out of my system. And then I called Jay's office. I was like, excuse me, could you tell Jay that this is his wife and it's kind of an emergency, but not really. I'm okay. And he gets on the phone. I was like, they called me. And he's like, have you called him back? I was like, no, I have to get this out of my system first. I have to get it together. So it was exciting. It was definitely exciting.
No, okay. Because I feel like the survivor process and the experience really starts the first time you hear back from casting, and then it goes on until who knows how long it goes on until. So once you go through casting and you make the show, the next big part of it is filming. So what did you think of the experience of actually filming the show and playing the game?
Oh, wow. Okay. Being a fan for so long, I do have to take these off. I keep getting the glare. I just can't see while I'm talking to you. To me, it was amazing to see how it all works. I remember when I first started watching it, and I would see some of the people like wearing their lawyer suits and then wearing like the fancy boots. And I thought to myself, I was like, do they just go and pluck them out of their work? Like how did, like, do they not say I've got to be away for a while? Like I was just absolutely dumbfounded about how this worked years and years ago before there was more publications about it. And so to see everything and learn and how everything unfolds that I was always curious about was everything to me. And specifically, if I could share this with you, because whenever Jeff is telling you what the challenge is going to be, he's like, okay, you're going to run up the hill and do 3 backflips, turn around and dig this sand and throw it. And I remember watching it and being like, how the hell do they remember all those steps? My ADD self, I'm like, I would die out there. So it was really neat being there and seeing that process of explaining how it works. And it was just like, oh, now I get it. Now I see how they don't forget. So I just remember being just completely perplexed about how they remembered all the details of the challenge, with the quick, okay, you're going to do this and do that. And so it was kind of neat seeing all of that and living it all. And what I love too, just the artistic part of it, I was blown away at the details of the set and the details of all of the colors of the tribes and something as simple as the details on our torches. It's incredible. I loved every moment of learning how it all worked and how flawlessly I felt that, it worked. It was really neat to live it.
It's cool. I feel like there are moments when you feel like you're in the TV, like going to tribal council for the first time and you're like, oh my God, it looks the same in person as it does on TV. And I'm here and Jeff's asking a question and I'm on the show right now. It's very surreal because I feel like there are so many details that they really think of.
When we went to tribal that first time, I remember there being a photograph of me and comments about, everybody is scrambling and I'm looking up, up into the corner like this, or like, cuckoo, what is she doing? And I knew exactly what I was doing. And I couldn't say anything then when it came out because we're not allowed to. But I remember going into that first tribal and thinking, okay, I want to memorize this because I've always wanted to know what it's really like. And I was studying every detail of where every camera was. And I was looking at, do you remember that door to the left? I remember looking at it going, is that faux wood? Is that real wood or metal? Like I was just absolutely studying every bit of that set. And because I didn't want to forget it if that was my time to go. And so that's what I was doing when I looked like, woohoo. But I was looking at everything because it was amazing, wasn't it? Like the details were amazing.
Yeah, it's wild because when you're there, they have so many cameras everywhere in tribal council, but then watching the show, you don't see them. They do an amazing job of hiding them because I felt like at any given time, there's like 30 cameras on us. What was the biggest surprise for you when we were filming the show?
I think everything was a surprise. I was actually surprised at how long just that intro was before the show started. How long we were in that little boat filming before we even landed on that barge. That I was surprised at because that was hours and hours, for what, a 30-second intro. That surprised me.
You were in awe of the filming and the production. In terms of playing the game, what was the most surprising to you?
Oh, God, yeah. I practice not eating, and going out and playing tennis and doing things just to see how my body reacted. I was not prepared for the absolute feeling of a body disconnection from your mind and mouth. Being that tired, that fatigued, and just thinking all the time and not eating, I have never experienced where I wanted to say something and it wouldn't come out the way that I was thinking it. And it was the first time in my life I had an absolute disconnection of what I wanted to communicate and my body being able to do it. I also was blown away by the physical fatigue that I went through at the latter part of the game. Something as simple as going to the bathroom and taking that long walk to go to the bathroom. And at the beginning, it was like, oh, I'm fine with this. At the end, after not eating for so long, I remember coming back up the bank and having to sit there and get myself together so I wouldn't pass out and fall down just because I was so lightheaded and how exhausted I was just going down that bank to go to the bathroom.
Walking in sand.
Yes, but I hid it from everybody thinking I don't want anybody to see this. And then to find out some other people, were dealing with the same thing too. I thought it was just the old lady thing in me, but I was blown away at how your body does not work when you are that deprived of food and sleep and the paranoia. It's indescribable of how mine didn't work. So, all the people are saying, why aren't they hunting and fishing and gathering and doing all that stuff? We did at the beginning. We all did. But towards the end, it took everything you had just to go to do the challenge and walk back to camp, just to get back in, to the shelter. So I think that was very eye-opening for me, that I didn't understand the depth of that fatigue.
Yeah, things that seem easy end up being really hard at the end. Walking in sand towards the end is exhausting. Carrying the torch is actually really heavy. Well, I think in real life, it's not that heavy, but when you're starving, the torch is heavy. And when we had to get those shots of us going to tribal council where we'd walk in a straight line, holding the torch through the sand, we'd have to get multiple takes of it. By the end, you just you get on your way to tribal council and you're just like, ugh, I'm tired. That took a lot out of me.
Do you remember when it was pouring rain and we had to do it over and over? And I'm just like, oh my God. And what people don't understand is you're carrying your bag full of all of your stuff too. And when you're little like us, the bag kind of hits everything. So I remember walking with my torch and it hitting my torch and almost knocking Danny in his head, like a pendulum. And so just trying to hold the torch so you don't kick it with your knee when you're trying to clumsily walk through the sand. That alone was like an acrobatic feat for me, just trying to walk a straight line over and over. But yeah, and I live at the beach. I walked in sand so many times. That was like heavy duty sand. That was that was like super sandy sand. That was tough.
Oh yeah, I have so much more respect now for people who casually jog along the beach because that's hard.
Right.
Okay. We come back from filming and it's the summer before the show airs. So there's always this lull between coming back. We came back in May, show airs in September. So what was that like for you, that in-between time?
The in-between time, I'm being very truthful here. We had moved out of our house. And so I was in the process of moving back into our home because we had been gone for so long, having to get a lot of things fixed in our home. So I just had mom things going on and wife things. I went through something that was really bizarre. I went through a myriad of like feelings. First, when I got back, I was just proud. I was proud that I went, I did it. I was the oldest one. I made it that far. I was proud of my game. I loved the friends that I had made. I felt great about everything. And I had fun reading all the comments of people getting excited about the show because as a fan, that's what I would be doing too. So the buildup, that was fun. Then on the flip side of it, I was going through dealing with knee surgeries and I had torn both ACLs out there. And so I was dealing with that and going to the doctor and I have to go through this long process, before I can get things done. And then on top of that, it was a guilt of, I wanted to be on the phone with you guys 24/7 and talk about it. And because there were still so many things that were unknown to us, it's like, do they really we still didn't know the whole picture. We didn't have that resolution of a finale. We just left. And so talking to everybody, I was so excited and talking to pre-jury that we never even had the chance. That's another one I want to add that I never understood, that we wouldn't meet half the cast. But I wanted to be in it because I was still living it. And I felt this guilt because I had so much to do for mom duties and being present again in my family's life. But then I wanted to be on the phone with you and Sarah and Vochi and getting to know them. And it's like I really struggled with trying to balance that and not feeling guilty for wanting to put more time and energy into just getting back and still living the game. Um, that was hard for me. I was kind of jealous. I was jealous, not in a bad way, but jealous um, that some people had so much time that they could allot to still, being you were in quarantine. You were forced to be still, so you couldn't
I mean,
do
that was good
anything.
and
And
bad.
part of me was exactly. It was good and bad, but it was just I was like, "Ooh, I wish that I could be quarantined for a week and still be able to reach out and talk to everybody." And so that was kind of hard. That was hard. But I was more excited about it starting because everybody was excited about it, and I had a lot of fun with getting a text going, "Oh my God, were you on Survivor? My daughter said she just saw your picture." And at this point, we couldn't say anything, so I was just like, I don't know. I didn't know how to answer this. How do you answer this? I don't know. So it was just really fun. I was excited because I felt like I did a great job, um, and I was proud of my game.
I think you should be proud. And I can totally relate to the guilt that you're feeling too, because you come back from this experience. It's wild. It's crazy all the things that we got to experience, especially as someone who's been a fan for so long and you want to talk about it. And then now all of a sudden you're leaked on the cast and people are talking about you. And it's funny seeing what people are saying. I'm sure you loved people saying that you were like Jennifer Coolidge. I know you're a Legally Blonde fan.
I love her.
And all of a sudden, it becomes all you want to think about and all you want to talk about. But then you still have all of these loved ones in real life who you have to maintain relationships with. And as I look back, I'm so grateful to all of my family and friends who were patient with me because, oh my God, I'm sure they were probably sick of talking about Survivor 2 by the end.
Yes, but what was still weird too, and you were going through it, is we're also still recovering from the game. So on top of this and wanting to be present and talk to everybody about it, my body was recovering. I had a terrible UTI and then the torn ACL, so my body physically wasn't working the way that I needed it to work. And the eating and the sleeping, it took me a while to even get like my daily like bearings back. It was weird. And I remember thinking that I should be better by now. I should be like focused and like better by now. And I wasn't. I was still sleeping weird times. I still couldn't sleep at night. And my eating was out of control. And I don't know, do you remember what I used to like I was craving all the time? Do you remember?
Cheez Its?
No, well, Cheez-Its, of course, but the Doritos and cream cheese. What the
Oh,
hell? And all I wanted to eat was like Doritos and cream cheese, and I ate so many, I had ulcers all in my mouth. So it was just like, just a mess, just a mess. But prior to it starting, again, a myriad of emotions, a myriad of, you know, excitement, but I wasn't disappointed. I just this comes along with the game. I thought, I went there, this is what I did. You just got to get past it and go. But I was excited. I was very excited about the game. I was excited about it being shown and all the hype online. And yeah, I got some shitty comments, on social media, about my age and my looks and not being fit. But that comes along with it. Um, there wasn't that many bad things, so I was grateful for that.
the show has started. And
Okay.
I'm sure you have so many people who ask you about your edit and everything. So let's talk about all of it. When you were watching the show, was there a moment when you had that sinking feeling thinking, oh, I'm not being shown as much as I think I should?
Uh, I don't know if it was like a certain, I can't remember which ones that I wasn't shown at all. But I mean, we're having, viewing parties and whatnot. So a lot of it was very social and you're talking to people. So I wasn't paying as much attention to the show as I would have been if I was sitting on my couch by myself. Um, I want to say it was a couple episodes in. I'm just like, you know, this is interesting. But I started thinking, okay, well, it's because we kept winning. Louisville kept winning. And, um, but I did. Yeah, there is a part. And I remember, it came out that there was a lot of hearsay of like, why Heather's not being shown. What do you think it is? Is it because she cusses too much? Is it because of this, that, and the other? And I actually thought to myself, I was like, did I do something wrong? Like, is there something I could have done that I might not be aware of? Because if I did do something wrong and I'm not aware of it, I need to know about it. So if I did do something, I can change it. Like I really went through and thought about it. And I remember even calling you and saying, was there anything that you can remember that could have done wrong? Like I didn't know. And so I did. I called and asked. I think it was printed in an article that I called and yelled at him or fussed at him. And I didn't yell or fuss. I really was curious as to, did I do something wrong? And the comment that I got back was very kind and saying, no, you didn't do anything wrong. At this point, everybody on your tribe has had some sort of interaction with an advantage or something like that that's extra in the show. Excuse me. And you haven't at this point. And I was like, okay. I said, but if something, comes up, if I have done something wrong, will you please tell me? And Jesse said, of course I will, of course. And so that was good to know that I hadn't done something that I wasn't aware of, and if I had done something, I need to know about it so I can learn from that. So it was early on that I felt that I was kind of invisible. Yeah. I remember telling you, I told you, we talked a lot.
So of what they showed of you on TV, when you watch it back, do you think, okay, that's me, my authentic self? Like, do you think that they represented you well?
I think I need to go back and rewatch it, truthfully.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, it was either at watch parties or I just had knee surgery and I was on medication and don't remember clearly when I was watching it. But I felt that it didn't show. How about this? Let me rephrase it. I wish it would have shown more of the fun social interactions that so many of us had. Is that I think that's a good way of putting it. I wish that there would have been something, something shown of us cutting up or Deshaun and I laughing over him trying to cut the bamboo. Like just little things. I wish they would have shown more of the fun parts, of the interaction and friendship building, just getting to know each other and some of the bad stuff too. I wish they would have shown more. Yes. Because not everything wonderful, but they didn't cast us for everything to be happy and wonderful. They cast us for there to be conflict and turmoil, and there was a little bit of that. I wish they would have shown more. Yes, it's hard to say because they didn't show enough. I think to even say do they show the real me or not. Now it was real when I failed that challenge. That was awful, and I do not play basketball. And my daughter, when she saw it, she's like, "I told you should have been out there shooting hoops with me, Mom." And I was like, "Shit, I should have, right?" It's still in our driveway, and I still haven't thrown a damn basketball in it. But I'm not going to make an excuse for that challenge. There was so much more, and it was way longer. I felt experiencing it than it was shown on TV.
Oh yeah, it was definitely longer.
Yeah, I was being treated for. I'm allowed to talk about this, right? Yeah. I was being treated for parasites and worms and a terrible UTI. And so with these medications in my body and not eating, I don't know. Would I have done a perfect layup or whatever it's called? No, because I suck at basketball. But I feel like there's a lot more going on with me that inhibited me from I don't know. That was just bad. The whole thing was bad. And I felt awful. Can I clarify something on here?
Please? Yes, please. Please do.
Okay. I do want to clarify something. All right. I sucked at that challenge. I lost that challenge. People were upset with me, as they rightfully should be. I was upset with myself. I suck. And when I went, I remember that was when you guys got into the boat. And I just remember crying and just like getting it out and being like, you know what? I just lived through the worst fear you could have on that show. It's like, I did it. There's nowhere to go but up from here. Like I lived it. I don't, need to be afraid of it anymore. It's behind me and let's move on. And when I went in to do my confessional after that, I did not say I was proud of myself that I didn't quit. I did not say any of that. I said I sucked. I'm mad at myself. I'm not embarrassed. I kept saying that over and over. I'm not embarrassed. You don't sign up for a show like this if you're going to be embarrassed by something. So anybody watching, don't do it. If you get embarrassed easily, don't sign up for the show. I wasn't embarrassed. I wasn't mortified. I had lived through a fear and I was mad at myself. Like I was mad and I sucked and I said I sucked and that was just awful. Well, if I remember correctly, the one that they showed after me failing that was, I'm so proud I didn't give up, and that was one that I had said later on in the game with a swimming challenge because my history, which nobody knew, barely was, I almost drowned when I was young, and I have not really been swimming at all for 35 years because of that fear. And I went through a lot of like working with a therapist to get over my fear to get back into the water. And so for me, jumping off that giant platform in a million years, 20 years ago, I never would ever imagine that I could do that. So I was so proud of that. So they took my confessional from then and tied it on to my epic fail with the old basketball wrapped in tape. And the
Franken edit.
the online feedback was horrible. Like everybody, doesn't need to get the participation trophy. And like, it just was, I've showed you some of them. Some of them was really horrible. And again, I want to make it clear. I keep pulling these off my head. I'm sorry. I want to make it clear that I didn't say that I was proud of myself. I said I sucked. And it was kind of hard being bashed so by the fans when I never said that. I never did that. And I never felt that way. But at that point, we couldn't say anything about it. So that was really hard.
It's almost like you wanted to go online and just be like, I suck. Okay, people, I sucked at least in that one challenge.
I did say at one time, it's like, I think to a few people I did reply, it's like, I did suck. I sucked at it. But I couldn't say, I didn't say that. They clipped that on. I just said, I suck and I owned it. Like I own it. I was made fun of. I was told that they couldn't believe that I was 52, that I looked like I was 92, and I should never be out there. Like it was really hard. That was hard to see that. And even though I didn't go looking for it, like I stayed away from that, I would still see pieces of it just randomly, like on a feed with a comment, and and it just that hurt a little bit. Not gonna lie.
You're a strong person, and I think that even the strongest person is going to feel something when somebody is saying something to them that comes from a place of misunderstanding or comes from a place where they're not getting the full truth.
Yeah. Yeah. But the way it was edited, it looked like, but the way it was edited, it looked like the full, truth. It looked like it because it looks like I was saying, I'm proud of myself. I didn't give up. No, I fucking didn't say that, and that's what hurt because I owned, screwing up and sucking at it. And I got berated for something that I didn't say. That was tough. That I want to say that was one of the toughest things.
As this is airing, as you're seeing all of this mixed feedback from the audience, you are also a parent and you have 2 teenage daughters. They're the sweetest, kindest, most considerate girls. I love them. I feel like I think of them as younger cousins. They're so sweet. And I know you're very close with them. So what was it like for you as a parent as you're navigating these hurt feelings and you feel like you need to, did you feel like you needed to address anything with your daughters or explain anything to them? Because I'm sure they could pick up on how you were hurting. Like, how did you manage that relationship?
I never showed that in front of them because I didn't want them to hurt for me. I think that's something that you learn as a parent that you need to, I try to limit my negative emotions about some things in front of them because I didn't want it to spoil it for them because they were so proud of me. And, I want this to be for them an example of get out there beyond your comfort level and do something. And I felt like if they saw me hurting like that it would kind of take away from the whole lesson of this that I was hoping that they would get from it with my journey. Um, I didn't really I didn't go into detail about the disappointment. A lot of it I tried to laugh at, like when they would see something, they're like, "Oh, my mom, did you see this?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I saw that," But I will tell you one thing that really surprises me. When you start on this journey, they do warn you going through the process of the way that the survivor community can be hurtful. And I remember I can't say remember, we were warned about social media. We were warned about somebody will find something wrong with you and shout it out. So be prepared. And through the whole process, it was like, I'm strong, I'm prepared, I can handle this, I can let it roll right off my back. And this was the first time in my life that I have been lashed out at social media. Like, whatever venue it is. And it was a lesson that I needed because when my children talk about it happening either to them or to a peer, I didn't give it the attention or the understanding of how it really hurts until it really happened to me. Before, it was easy for me to say, "Oh, they don't even know you. Don't worry about it," and you just, I try to keep it positive. Now I know how it feels, and I feel like I have more empathy now for that than I had before because I didn't understand how it feels because I'd never been a subject of it. I am not of the generation of texting and all this. Clearly, I don't even know how to do Instagram right, and I don't even know what buttons to push to like post things. I post the wrong shit all the time, so I just quit. But I'm going to get back at it. But the whole point is that this isn't my generation, and so I haven't really felt hurt by people's comments because I've never been a part of this. And now that I have been, it does hurt, and I understand it more, and I have a lot more empathy for it. But I wish I could make it go away. And I hope that my daughter saw that I didn't take a lot of it. Listen, I will say this: I didn't take it personal, but I will say it stung. If that's the best way that I could say it, is like, we knew it was going to happen. I didn't take it personal, but it does sting. It stings a little bit to see your character questioned and that you should never have been out there to begin with. That stung. I'm glad I still did it, but it did sting.
Of course. Yeah. And I feel like it's almost like not everybody, because I think there's also so many amazing viewers, and I know you had fans, and I know you were able to make real life friends, and we can get to that. But I feel like a lot of the people, they don't realize that, we're real people who see what they say. And I don't think these people would say this to your face if they ever saw you. But at the same time, it does hurt. And it does make me happy to know that you were able to take this and now apply it and become a better parent and to become more empathetic. And I think that for you, I know that there were struggles and things were hard, but then we still found a way to have fun. When we went through that phase, when we were like, okay, people are saying we're invisible, let's own it. You added all this Where's Waldo stuff to Twitter. You were responding to people's tweets about how you were boring and you served people carrot sticks. I thought that was hilarious. And I love that you were still able to have fun.
Oh my God. Yeah, I did need to pull some of those out. I said, I am so boring. I probably serve my guest water and carrot sticks. I hate carrots. I hate carrots. You've been to my house. We eat freaking raw cookie dough. We don't eat carrots. It's water.
I've been to Heather's house twice, and she's never served me carrot sticks, FYI. And also never water. We're always drinking something else.
Yeah, but there were some things, and I did laugh at some, and I saved a lot of them. In fact, one day when I get these braces off and I can talk better without cutting up my mouth, I'm going to read a few and my responses to them, because some of them really made me laugh out loud. I've shared some with you, and some of them were really mean. Those I don't like to visit again, but the ones that make me laugh, I appreciated them. But to the person out there that said that I probably serve carrot sticks and water, I do not serve carrot sticks and water.
I can confirm.
I wish I did like carrots. Yes. But no, I did. it wasn't also too. I had somebody make those Waldo things for me. I don't know how to do that. I actually reached out to someone, and I have to ask permission if I can say their name before I say it. But I was like, "Can you help me do something with the Waldo?" And it's like, blink, there you go. So I had fun with that. But again, it still stings. It still stings that you were part of a story, and it wasn't. Um, it wasn't important enough to show parts of it. And I'm not complaining about, being the star of the show. I know I'm not, and I didn't expect to be. And there are some really big personalities that needed to be showcased. But I felt personally, I wish there was more shown with building relationships. Like just for a lot of people, like not just me, but for a lot of people, I wish that would have been shown because I think it would have explained so much more of people's journeys to the end. So
Was there
I
a
kind of,
specific moment that you wish got shown?
oh my God, I need to think about that, but I think there's quite a few. Um, I don't know how to say this without, I don't want to create a negative energy with other cast. So I'm going to be very careful with saying this. I wish that some people's actions and personalities were shown more to the way they really are than they were. There are like some, I think I'm surprised that some people's actions weren't shown on camera, like the way that some people behaved about certain things or reacted to. I think that would have been enjoyed by the fans, and I think that it would have made some people's stories a little bit more understandable. Does that make any sense?
Do you know which part of your personality I wish made TV? How you were so obsessed with animals, all of your stories about opossums, even how you were so curious about those birds that scared the shit out of me. I felt like there was so much opportunity for just funny content of you loving the animals.
I do love some animals. Yeah, I wish more of the frolicking and fun stuff was shown. I guess not just with me, but with other people too, because there were so many funny things about other people's personalities that weren't showcased that would have been fun to see because there's so many other cast members that have these funny, goofy sides to their personalities. And as somebody who's like that, that is something I love to see on the show. And I wish they would have shown more of that. I think there would have been more of a it was so heavily edited for the new advantages and all of this new stuff and that's great, but I as a fan I love seeing the quirkiness of some of the castaways and all of what makes them human, and I wish they would have shown that more with some people like just falling down and just all the clumsiness and just the laughing and how we laughed at night like just for no reason and just like our stories at night about what we would eat, just the fun parts. I wish they would have shown because there were a lot of fun parts, mixed in with the hard stuff. So that would have been fun to see because I talked about it to my kids and I was like, we did this. And they're like, well, they didn't show it. And I was like, well, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It still happened. I wish they would have shown it. So I wish that was different.
I feel like when you had your fun parts, you were really shining. Like when you had your Ponderosa video and you were just chaotic and running around. When I saw that, I'm like, yes, this is Heather. This is what Heather is actually like.
I had a lot of fun. Mine is the last one, isn't it? That Ponderosa. It's the last one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that Ponderosa, what was interesting is that was filmed all within like 2 hours at most because I was only there, for a day. And then we flew out the next day right after, the finale. So, we had to fit it all in there for sure. But I had a lot of fun. That was fun. I personally wish they would keep up with the Ponderosas. That was one of my favorite parts of the show because I felt like that allowed us to really see people's personalities too that you wouldn't have seen otherwise on the show. I loved it. And I loved watching people's reactions when they see what they look like, and then living it and doing it. It's just like, oh my God. It was just, I don't know. It was just surreal. It was really fun. I had a great time at Ponderosa. I had a great time shooting it and doing it, but I really wanted to be back out there with you guys. Like, I was even like, I don't even need to be in the running. I just want to spend the night there that last night with my friends. Like, we've come
Mm-hmm.
this far together. I just want to finish it. And that I was sad about. I wanted to finish it with
I mean, you got
you.
as far
But
as you could, and the fire making, you should be proud of yourself. I remember I was in the seat closest to the fire making, and I felt like I was so lucky because I have the front row seat to the best fire making in Survivor history. Do you remember watching that live and how we watched it in Toronto at my finale party? It was this theater full of people. Everyone is on their feet screaming. It was amazing in terms of the suspense. Like, what was that like for you watching that?
again, it was mixed because we were in a giant arena with all these people, and it was so fun being there and celebrating that with you. So, again, I might have noticed more if I was sitting on my couch than I did there at the moment. But the energy in that room, it was ecstatic, and it was so much fun. And you could feel people just getting excited and then let down, then excited again. It was really really fun. But one thing I don't know, my girls might have told you this when they were watching it here in the States when I was out in Canada with you. My kids actually told me later they thought they were like, "Oh my god, mom lied to us." Like she friggin' like she did like the way that they showed it was very real.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter Ellen said, "Oh my god, I bet she oh my like she really thought that I had lied to her about losing, the fire making the way that it was shown." So um for her to say that that was kind of funny for her to think that I had lied to her about it. So it I thought, again, the little bit that I saw, it was crazy to watch, but living it. Let me tell you something. All right, being a fan, and I need to go back and actually tally this up. Maybe you can remember some of this, is that I was practicing doing fire making before we went out there, and I was getting it in like 6 seconds. I remember they had drones going over. They were, come over here and do fire. Chick, chick, come over here. And then, so I felt very confident. I was like, I've got this. There's the word when you feel very confident. But they kept filming it, and I actually felt bad because I remember seeing Deshaun. Remember that little wooded area with all the
Mm-hmm.
vines, and he was practicing making fire over there, kind of near where the water well was. And I remember he was just practicing, and he was just not getting it. And I was feeling so guilty because I was like, I was getting it so easy, and I felt so bad because he was getting ready to I was getting ready to beat him, and I remember feeling bad. So we go into it, and I knew that I was going to do it, and I felt confident about it, and I had practiced it. I felt good. I can't say this because people can look on television and see it. All right. When we practiced it out there, we used natural materials from the woods. We cut that stuff that looks like burlap from the coconut trees, that
Mm-hmm.
husky stuff, and we use things that are out there. Well, in our little basket of tricks set up beside our, table, there was none of that burlap stuff. There was
Mm.
string in there. String, string. There is no string in the jungle. There is, and I'm like, what the hell? And that absolutely threw me because I thought, whoa, like these are none of this is natural. And it just threw me. It's like, what do you do with the string? Do you use it at the bottom? Do you put it at the top? And like that threw me. Another thing that being a super fan of the show and watching all this, the seat that I was assigned to, I remember somebody, I can't remember who, but when somebody watches this, they'll remember, I'm sure, and tell you that somebody said, I'd like to take that seat over there. I can't remember who it was, but it seems like the seat that I was in is notorious for losing. If I
Yes.
remember
Yeah.
correctly. I
Yeah.
know when I was sent to that seat, I was thinking, shit, I'm in the loser seat. And I should have said, I want that one. And I didn't. And I didn't. I should have said it. But it was great. Mine was going up. And one thing that everybody said was that you keep seeing me going to the side like this. And the reason why I was doing my head like this is because the wind was blowing so hard towards my face that I thought it was going to burn off my eyebrows. Like the flame was blowing towards me. And with you getting a front eye view, you probably could see, the way that it was angled that you didn't see from the other side where the camera was. And so it was just, I think it's a wind tunnel where that seat is, truthfully, because I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching John too and being like, oh shit, he's in the bad seat. He's in the bad seat. And I don't know if it has to do with the fire being there and air, and I don't know, but it just seems like there's faster gushes of air at that scene. And so it was blowing towards me instead of up. And at that time, Deshaun was getting his to go up and he ended up winning. And as I said in my Ponderosa, and it doesn't hit you until after all of it because it just happens so fast. But we had a knife there. And if I had taken my little stack of sticks and string, I could have pushed it forward and, and it wouldn't have blown behind the string and maybe it would have popped before Deshaun's, but I didn't think about that until afterwards. I did not think about taking that knife and just moving the whole stack of fire. So, yes, it was high and good, and but I lost, and I meant it sincerely when I said I lost to one of my best friends in the game, and so that was, I went out because I lost fire, not because I was blindsided by people that I had begun to care about in the game personally. So I felt that was good for me to go out that way.
And you should be proud of yourself because truly your flag popped not even a minute after Deshaun's. That was not editing on the show. It was crazy how close the two of you were.
What was so funny is the comments on social media later about, like, I need to find some of these about like what my string looks like, compared to his string and how mine didn't, burn and his did and how, mine was clearly fixed so I wouldn't win. It was hilarious reading all of those, but that was hard. I was not ready to go. I was not ready to, but at least I got a fire, at least I got a flame. So for those practicing making fire, go get you some string and practice with string. Because I was only pricing with natural things, and then the string, and it's a limited amount of string too. So string. Anyway,
So
yeah. So
when you look back at the experience overall, what did you learn about yourself?
it's so weird because what I see on TV and what I experienced, I felt were very different. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there. One thing that I learned from you, I learned something from you that, yep. I was really proud of you because I think this may come with old age and just being done with it. But if I'm in a situation in real life and somebody is rubbing me the wrong way or has hurt my feelings or has done something to annoy me, I just avoid it, and I'm just done with it. And that's just how I live my life. I don't, confront it. I don't start an argument. I just avoid it. I'm good with it. You be you, and I'm just going to go over here. Well, in Survivor, you can't do that. You can't just walk away because that's when things happen. So you have to physically be there. And I really struggled with that. And for everybody out there, living with someone 24/7, and you add all the elements to it, little things that you never would think twice about will grate on your nerves, from the way somebody picks their teeth to the way they eat, or just little things that will just make you just nuts that normally it wouldn't phase you, in your day-to-day life. But one thing that I was so proud of you and watched and admired was how you were able to still listen to respectfully and to be kind to everybody there, even when they weren't always that way to you. I found myself, and I could give you examples. I don't know if we could do that, but I remember at one time, it was after an elimination of someone and it was raining, and somebody wanted to go talk to you in the rain afterwards because they were very upset about what had just happened. And I was in the shelter. I'm like, dry, I'm good. Tribal was exactly the way we wanted it. I'm going to sleep. And you come over and you're like, we should go out there and talk to this person. And I remember thinking, no, they turned on us. No way. I'm not eating. No. And you're like, it's the right thing to do. And I did. And I went out there and I felt like I was like, oh, I'm like, okay, I'm listening. All right, can we go back yet? But I was really proud of you and watching you just balance jury management, being kind to people when they needed it, when not necessarily they should have gotten it. And I admire that for you. And I feel like I've taken that away to be more, instead of walking away from something that doesn't make me comfortable or something, just to listen more and to be more present, because that was something that you did and you did really well. And I applaud you for that, because it clearly got you to where you are right now. But that is a skill that's a skill. And as someone that's older, like I said, I might be talking in circles, but when I don't have to be around people that don't bring me joy, I'm not around them. I don't have to be. I'm not forced to be, get along with everybody in the class anymore because I'm in class with them. So it was difficult for me to put on the smiley face and, um, make and to be patient and kind. Not, I wouldn't say kind, but I wasn't unkind. I just wasn't. How do I put it? I was impatient. Impatient.
Yeah.
There's a good
Yeah.
word. Impatient. I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm done. You're already mean to me, and you already did this, and I'm done. And you were very good at letting people feel like they're being heard, and that was
Thank
great.
you.
So I feel like hopefully I brought some of that with me home. So
Thank you. That
like I
means a lot, because I think that
said,
sometimes people misunderstand. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm a particularly kind person or I'm particularly patient, but I think that people misunderstand that for, I don't know, maybe being a pushover or being too nice or something. So I'm glad that you were able to recognize that, and it really
I
means a lot.
recognize it because it was something I tried to do and it was really hard. And it looked effortless with you, and it was something I admired. So yeah, I
Oh,
thought
I tried.
for that. I
Don't
know.
get me wrong,
You
I tried.
but it looked and it felt authentic, and it was something that I think that being put back in that situation again, that is definitely something that I need to work on. So I learned that. As far as learning things about just being on the show about myself, I can say one thing that I learned, and it's not so much about myself, but something that kind of shocked me is I honestly thought that after the game was over, everybody would be like, "Good game, good game, that was
That's what I
great,"
thought too.
"Have fun," that was, "Oh, you pulled a fast one over on me, that was pretty sneaky." I really thought it was gonna be a bunch of high fives, "Great game, we're a great cast, we gave them what they wanted to see, and we played hard, and, you got me." And I was shocked to find out that it's like that people leave mad and they stay mad and they get madder. And I feel like too there's no resolution, especially with the way that ours ended. We weren't given that opportunity to come back and to process it and then to have a reunion to where there could be some sort of resolution. It was still hot and it was still fire, and I was shocked that it wasn't more of high five, everybody did great, great season 41. There's
Mhm.
still a lot of anger and still, you know, people not being supportive of each other
Yeah,
on
that
the
surprised me too. And I'm hopeful that anybody who plays this game in the future, they can have compassion for themselves, because I know it's a lot to process, and I think that everybody feels some type of loss when they go on the show. And I also hope that they can have compassion for each other, because
yeah,
it's tough. What we go through, it's an amazing experience. It's a dream come true. It can be life-changing. It's also hard, and we're people. So please just have compassion for everybody. And
I
Heather,
will.
I know that you were one of the people who didn't do a lot of those post-show interviews. What kept you away from doing that?
First of all, I need to preface this by saying I am certain that I didn't, I did not get a million invitations like some people did. I know that, but I did get some. And at first I turned them down because after the finale, I came back home and I got COVID. Yeah, but one of the fellas, actually contacted me and said, "I just wanna give you a heads up, I tested positive for COVID, and I had my picture taken with you," and I thought that was really kind to do. And so, but yes, I tested positive for COVID, and I got really sick. And, when I say really, and then again, I added that guilt onto it. It's like, "I ruined my family's Christmas. I have COVID, and we can't do family stuff now because I was doing more Survivor stuff." So that compounded it. But, I was coughing so bad when I spoke that I'd, like, pee myself. It was really bad, and, it lasted for a long time. So at first, when I got asked, it was, let me wait till later until this passes because I can't even talk right now without, almost throwing up because I was coughing so hard. Um, to I'll get back to you. To not right now. I'll reach out when I'm ready. And for me, it was a lot of the interviews, or I, they weren't. I don't want to say they weren't kind, because we're not out here to be kind, but I felt like I had nothing to add that would be good. Um, I felt that there was so much around questions that are negative, wanting to know the
Mm-hmm.
scoop and how did this really happen? And I didn't want to add to that.
That's fair.
I felt,
Mm-hmm.
no, I felt that some of the things that I had heard, or they hurt me. And I didn't feel like, all right, a perfect example. If somebody asked me, so how did you and so get along on the island? I know we didn't get along. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, well, tell me about that. What is that going to do? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's not going to serve me. It's not going to serve that person. Not everybody got along. Those other people have clearly already talked about how they felt about things. I didn't want to add to
Yeah.
that. And I just felt like it was just really hostile is kind of a strong word, but it just wasn't something I wanted to be a part of. Remember how I said I
Mm-hmm.
kind of avoid things that are
Yeah.
not positive? I I I was avoiding it. I didn't want to lie being asked a question, because I'm not a liar. But I didn't want to be completely truthful, because that wouldn't serve anybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I didn't want to. And by the time that I could, I didn't want to.
I think
I
that's
didn't want
fair. I think that you only have so much time. You only have so much energy that you can give out. And from what I know of you, and we know each other well, we're really good friends, you want to contribute positively. You want to have fun. You want to make people feel good. And if doing something doesn't do that, then why do it? It doesn't serve you. So I totally understand.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I just felt like, that's what sells is conflict. Oh, so tell me
Yeah.
about, your what really happened here. Um, and something else that I have found, my recollection of events that happen, or the way that I remember them, and are based on my feelings about them. And so if I was to say that something really hurt me, or this person was mean, another person might not feel the same way, and thinking, well, that didn't make me feel that way. I didn't think it was mean. And then there's a conflict there. And so I felt like I can't ever adequately describe my experience without including my feelings, which other people don't share the same feelings about certain
Mm-hmm.
events. We all could live the same exact thing and have different takes on it when we leave, based on feelings. And I think that that's where we run into trouble, is our truths, what we
Mm-hmm.
experience there, and based on feelings. And I feel that some of the things that I experienced were kind of different than what other people experienced. Like, I felt like some things were more substantial, or more difficult, or easy, compared to what other people say. So I just felt like there was nothing to gain from the interviews. And at that point too, I've been just bombarded with being so invisible, and purple queen, and purple grandma, and what's Heather doing? She's knitting sweaters in the woods. Grandma's out there. I didn't feel. It felt
Yeah.
irrelevant.
Yeah. Well,
So I just didn't want to add to it. So that's why.
there. And you had to, and this is where it's so good that you have this full, beautiful, real, I like, not that Survivor's not real life, but you have this real life around you. And when you get so much out of the people who are around you and the life you have, why take away time from that to go do something that you feel like doesn't serve you? And I feel like another thing I learned from this whole experience was when we came off the show, I felt like everybody had their version of the truth of the story and what happened. And I thought, okay, then the show's going to come out and then that's going to be the real truth. But then it turns out the show is just a 19th version of the truth. And I don't think we're ever going to fully know what the truth is. I think that when you read about other people's accounts of what happened, when you watch the show, you just have to do it for fun and take it with a grain of salt. This is not journalism. And then, so if you're a fan, just like know that it's everybody processing their own point of view. We're never really going to fully know what actually happened because everything is a little bit biased. And then as a player, you have to really, it's almost like your sense of who you are and your sense of what's real gets challenged through this whole experience. And you have to stick to your experience, and what you remember is what's true for you. And that has to be good enough.
Yes, that's exactly right. Everybody lived their own experience and their own truth. And like I said, it's all intertwined with emotions too. And what, somebody experienced and their fears of something and somebody else didn't have a fear. Like it's all very different, but it's very relevant to that person. Like one thing that I wish, and again, I think I said this earlier, I wish they have shown more of what went down with some players of their real personality, because some of it was jarring, some of it was shocking. And I remember talking to you and being like, oh, this is the episode that so and so did this. I can't wait for them to show this. And then it wasn't shown. It was just like, oh my God. And so to me, that was relevant. Like I remembered it. I remember the details. Like it meant something to me. And for them not to even show it, it made me question, why did I remember that so vividly that they didn't even think enough of it to show it? And so that's where you start second guessing what your truth is.
You're like, am I not important because something I thought was important actually wasn't? And it makes you kind of question all of that.
Yes, because I was like, oh, this is the episode where this is going to happen. Get ready. Like, and I even told my kids, get ready. And it never showed. And they're like, well, what exactly happened? And I told them, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't show that. I was like, I know, right? Like that's epic. So I was shocked about that. Another thing, this was interesting, and maybe I could ask your thoughts about this, of why they didn't show our loved ones visit. Because I know in 42, when they showed theirs, everybody was speculating, oh, well, clearly the winner is in this bunch of people because they didn't show it for, season 41 because Erika wasn't in it. So clearly the person in 42 is the winner, and it wasn't. Why do you think they didn't show our loved ones?
Okay, I have a theory for that one. Because for that vote in our season, that was the split vote. So there was a lot of shifts in the dynamics in terms of originally, at least the show showed, I think I was the target, then it switched, then it switched, then it switched, and there was a plan, and people who weren't normally working together were working together. So I think that the time needed to be dedicated to telling the story about how that vote went down and how this person got voted out. Whereas for that episode on 42, and I interviewed everybody from Survivor 42 for ET Canada, so I got good insight into what was happening in terms of the game. The vote that night was very straightforward from the truth of the people who I spoke to. This was who the target was. Even though the show added some suspense where maybe we thought it could be somebody different, the target remained the target throughout the day, and there weren't a lot of shifts. So I think that there was more screen time that they were able to dedicate to the family visit. I feel like sometimes from the last 3 seasons, because now Survivor 43 has ended, we cannot depend on Edgic and the edit in the same way we have before to predict the winner. It's clear that all of this stuff it's very different now. So I think that quite purely from the gameplay from those 2 episodes, that's why it ended up happening like that. I don't know. I'm not an editor.
Well, as a fan, and I liked those. I did some of the family visits in real life, I don't know. I remember them. I don't hate them. I felt like they gave more insight into who the person is. Oh, that's so-and-so's partner, or wow, that's their kids. I like seeing that because it made that person more real when you see their other half too, or their best friend or their brother. And so as a fan, I enjoyed seeing that. And I felt like something that was missing from our season is really getting to know the people out there. And not just because I was one of the 4, but I felt like they could have shown a little blip, of showing, our families or a little bit more about us. And that made me a little sad because that night, actually, this is sad. Just had my other knee surgery, and I invited all of my children's friends over, and Jay grilled out for them all. And we were watching because I knew that was going to be the episode that they were on because of the family visit. They had done the video, and it was wonderful, and they never showed it. And I felt so bad, but I didn't, disclose to everybody, oh, you're going to see, Hadley and Ella on television. And I felt bad that they weren't shown, and that I felt bad for that. But I also, I like seeing it. Like, I like seeing who people's families.
Mhm.
I'm still kind of struggling. They showed just a blip of it.
Yeah, yeah.
For our season, I think it would have benefited getting to know the players a little bit more, like just a little bit more.
Mhm.
I don't know, because I still came away from the season not knowing some of the players, and I was there with some of them. You know, let me ask you this: were you shocked when you didn't get to know anybody from pre-jury? Did that shock you a little bit?
Yeah. 100%. There's
Okay.
so many
Me
people
too.
from pre-jury I've never met. I think I've only met a handful of them. Luckily, I've been able to be in touch with them in some way. So I've either gotten on the phone or FaceTimed or texted. So I've gotten to know them. And I think they're awesome, actually. The pre-jurors from our season
Yeah.
are awesome. But it's crazy. It's wild to me that I'm the winner of their season and we've never been able to meet. It's crazy to me.
Yes, yes, yes. I never put in my I never thought of. I knew, again, being a super fan and knowing how some of it works, I just never thought that I would leave the game and never speak to or meet anyone that went home pre-jury if you made the jury. I never even thought of that. It's something else that people don't understand. It's like when we're out there, do you remember? And we don't know each other yet, and we're all lined up to go to our next challenge. And Jeff will go, okay, what's your name over there? And Evie will say, Evie, we can hardly hear that. On television, it's as clear as day
Mhm.
what that person's name is. But where we're standing, we can barely hear what they're saying. And I was shocked at how long it took me to remember people's names or to
Oh,
say it
yeah.
correctly. Or do you know that? I was like, what was their name? What was their name?
We had
What was
nicknames for other people on the other tribes until we learned their names. I'm not going to say their nicknames now. All I'll say
I
is
can remember now.
the person whose name it took me the longest to learn was the person who ended up being shown a lot. So it was just also so funny how that all went down. I'm like, wow, it took me
Yeah.
until the merge to learn this person's name.
But think of all the fun names on there, and they're all
Mhm.
it's pronounced differently, and again with the merge, we just learned their names that second, and then I remember
Mhm.
going in to do a confessional, and I was like, okay, um, and they're like, so and so,
Mhm.
I we don't know their names, we don't because we haven't been around them, and they're trying to get you to talk about what your
Mhm.
impressions are, and I'm like, the young kid with the long hair, Zane, like I was shocked at how hard it was for me. That we had a lot of fun names on there that were
We had nicknames for everybody on the other tribes until we learned their name. Once we met everybody at the merge, there was one person I went up to them. I said, "This was our nickname for you pre-merge. Can I still call you that nickname?" And they were like, "Yeah, I love it." So I would always refer to this person as their name. And I remember there was one episode where it was before tribal council. We're strategizing. I'm counting names on my finger. I'm trying to count numbers and stuff, going on for hours. And then at one point, a producer pulls me aside and they said, Erika, you have to stop using that nickname. You have to refer to them by their name because all of the footage of you referring to this person by this name is not usable because the audience doesn't know who you're talking about. So you need to stop. So after that, I'm like, okay, no nicknames.
I know exactly what you're talking about because
Mhm.
I use that nickname too.
Something that I wish that the audience got to learn more about you is your love for possums because it's this thing. If you are with Heather and she gets a captive audience, you're going to hear about possums for at least an hour. True or false?
True. Sean, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What is it about
Yeah,
the possums?
all right. I love them. I love them. It's a very long story, but I used to work with a volunteer group, and I would it sounds so weird saying it out loud. I love possums and I have raised many and I have rehabbed hundreds. I have had hundreds in my home. And I worked with a group that we did a rescue and rehab, and I trained for possums because nobody likes them. Nobody wants to be around them. People are scared of them. And that was like the group of animals that nobody wanted to help. So I went to all the training and I learned everything about them, and I fell in love with them. And as a result, we have raised, like I said, we've had hundreds come through our house, but we have raised in our home as part of our family 5 or 6 that have lived their full lives in our home, living in our house. And they're non releasable animals. These aren't animals that I could release back into the wild. I totally would. These are ones that had broken legs or they would die immediately. And so I just have this fondness and this love for them. And again, they are misunderstood. People think they're scary. And so when somebody asks me about them, I'm like, well, let me tell you all I know. And then I pull out my phone for Deshaun. I'm like, here you go. Here, I have more pictures of possums on my phone than I do of my children.
I can attest to that. That's true.
It's cool. And I have like people have given me gifts and all kinds of like possum things, and I love them. And one of the things is I was actually actively still rescuing and rehabbing them when I was trying out for Survivor. And one of my biggest worries was, what's going to happen when I have to leave? Who's going to watch my possums? Because it's not like you can call somebody off the, off online and have somebody come walk your dogs every day. There's not a bunch of people out there that are going to come over and like play with your possums. So I was really worried about that. So when I didn't make 39, my last possum like passed away. They live a very, very short life. Passed away before 41. And so I did not take any more in because my worry was, who knows when, COVID's going to be over and we're going to go. I can't have a whole bunch of possums in my house and nobody to take care of them. And they're a lot of work, and it shouldn't be my, family's responsibility. This is something that I did, and they supported with it being my responsibility because they are a lot of work. So that it's hard enough being absent from a family as my role as a wife and a mother, to have my family take on the extra responsibility of my absence of being a family member, but also taking care of injured animals. It was too much. So I have not brought any more into my house since then, but I love them so much. Like I could talk days about possums. One day we're going to bring in our palomas and margaritas, and I'm going to pull out my phone and I'm going to show you video of Nelson eating toast.
I've seen the videos of Nelson. I know Nelson. I know how much you love the possum, so I want to play this game with you. I want to play this game.
No.
I just made it up. It's really stupid, but I think you'll like it. So it's a game that I have titled Possums or People. So I'm going to name activities, and you have to say who will do the activity better, a possum or a person. Okay, here's an easy one. Climbing a tree.
Well, it depends. It depends on if it's one of my injured possums, they can't climb. And if we're talking about some people from our cast that can run up trees easily, I would say people, but the majority, possums. Possums win.
Okay, cuddling on the couch.
That's a tough one. I like doing it with both. I had the best pictures of us cuddling with our possums. I like to cuddle with my family and my husband on the couch most of the time, better than possums.
Okay, possums
Jane,
don't win. Okay, showing up on time.
Oh, possums are never on time. They no, people show up on time. Possums do not show up.
Finishing their food.
Depends on what kind of food it is. Possums are very picky eaters when, kept in. You didn't know that, but out there you think of them as like they'll eat everybody's trash, and they will, but once they're pampered like mine, they are very finicky eaters, like very finicky. So between my kids and possums, I would say kids are easier. I don't know. That's a toss-up. That's a toss-up. It's a toss-up.
Okay. Enjoying a sunset together.
I like all of them, but my family,
Aw.
meaning like humans.
Okay.
But I have a great sunset here. You've seen it. It's pretty awesome.
Mhm.
All right.
Using a fork.
the question is, who does it better, a human or a possum?
I'm trying to give you an easy. I thought you were going to say possums are better at everything, so I wanted to give people a chance. Okay.
Oh, you thought I was going to lie. You thought I was going to lie. That would be a human. That would be a human. Now you have me where I'm going to want to film a possum using a fork. So no, humans. I'm not lying. All right.
Okay, here's the last one. Having a forked penis.
Oh, that one's tough. Well, I think possums do a better job of having a forked penis than humans. I don't have a penis, but and I haven't seen millions of penises to inventory, but I'm going to assume that possums have more forked penises than humans. I might be proven wrong. I might be proven wrong with my limited experience with the buffet of penises out there. But from my limited experience, I think possums are the ones that win the forked penis category.
You heard it here first, people. Heather confirming possums are better at having a forked penis. Well, you made everybody happy by joining the pod today. Thank you so much. I love you forever. Will you come back one day? Will you come back and we can chat and have a happy hour on the pod?
Can we do it, in Canada or over, here on my back porch one day? Yeah, maybe.
I would love to. I would love to. We'll have a Paloma and we'll talk about possum penises.
You are a great friend. I have enjoyed getting to know you. My family loves you. My daughters, they adore you. And just the times that we have spent together, I love you. And you've really enhanced my life. And I'm glad I met you. And again, my kids want to be you. So next time
I want to be them.
See you, I know, right? They are kind of wonderful. But thank you for your friendship.
Thank you. Truly, thank you. I feel like it didn't really get shown on the show, but I feel like one of the moments I'll always remember is coming back from exile. And you just gave me this big, warm, tight hug. And you said you missed me. And I felt like in that moment, I thought, there's somebody here who loves me. And I just felt so grateful to have that. And I feel like every time I talk to you, every time I go and visit you, I always think, I'm safe. I'm here. I'm safe. I'm loved. There's no care in the world. So thank you so much for giving me that. And I'll always love you, Heather.
Going through that journey, I think I said this to you before, just out of the game, without having somebody that you could trust, that you did care about, that you did, want to protect. And I can't imagine going through that game, not having that, and how isolating that would feel, and how vulnerable and how scary. Because there's so much more we could talk about with the game with you and me. I just giggle about it. Little things I giggle about. But I'm grateful that I had you. I actually think it's like, before I was on the show, I could easily say, boom, somebody. But now it's like, hey, my favorite. Is it a favorite who I like watching out there? Or is it my favorite that I would enjoy being with out there? Or is it my favorite I would enjoy working with? Because they're all very different. Do I watch it antics of, I don't want to be on my tribe. They make me crazy, But it's really interesting how you change your perspective on a simple question like that after experiencing it. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And even I would get, who are you rooting for?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's easy. It was easy for me in 42 because there's people from Canada. They're from the GTA. Great. Easy for me to root for them. For 43, I don't have that default answer. And truthfully, I didn't watch all of 43. I watched most of it, but some of the episodes I missed and I just didn't catch up. And I'm like, I have a hard time choosing. And I also feel like the way the story was told in 43, I think that it was also kind of confusing. And that's a whole other thing. So I feel like now I've had a harder time choosing who I'm rooting for.
Yes. And people are like, what do you mean you don't have a favorite? I'm like, it's all relative now, like this person's really fun to watch, but Lord have mercy, I would just have that'd be hard to take every day, and things have definitely changed being on there, but I'm still a fan of the show. I still love it. I still think Jeff is just like so stinking good looking. Like, not gonna lie. And
he looks the same in person.
Like his long hair. I think he looked better in person. Do you remember we were there one time and you were telling him about his hair, that you wish he would get his hair cut? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. He's so
And he was like, Erika, okay. I'll let you know if I care about your opinion. Yeah, I was sassing him and he was sassing me back.
And I was like, shut up. He looks so hot. I liked it. And you're just like, oh, he could use a little bit of grooming, let's spiff that up. And I just remember laughing, thinking, he is fine. He is good. But I think that he's even cuter in person. And I like his personality more in person. Do you? Did you feel like that? I don't think his personality really shows in the show. Jeff, if you see this, I get a hall pass if Jeff ever asks me out to go get pizza. I'm like, Jay, you do understand if Jeff ever comes into town and he wants to take me to get a margarita and some pizza, I'm going. And he's like, okay. I said, repeat after me before we get married. There's 4 people on that list, and Jeff is one of them. And so Jeff, if you're out there and you ever come to Charleston, you want to get pizza.
Is this a euphemism or is it truly sitting down for a slice of pizza?
Truly sitting down for a slice of pizza,
okay.
But or margaritas. I think he would just be so much fun. He's just, I don't know. I think he's a cutie patootie, not gonna lie.
Jeff, you heard it here first. Pizza date in Charleston, anytime.
Margarita's Mexican. I don't care what it is, but just know that I have a hall pass and a date. Just a date.
Heather, thank you for coming on the pod and thank you for playing. Where can people follow you?
Talking about that. I need to do a better job. I'm going to work on it. Erika was actually here with me and I was trying to post something on Instagram. And for 20 minutes, I'm struggling. And she's sitting on the couch. You remember, you're like, what are you doing? I said, how do I get this heart to move? And you're like, you just drop it down to the trash can. And I remember just being like, oh my God, this is so fucking hard. How do you do this? And then I can't see on top of it. So I got my old lady glasses trying to figure it all out. So it's easier for me to avoid it when it's not that easy, but I'm going to do better. In fact, I will post something like this weekend. Instagram, Facebook, I keep private just because it's my family and friends and it always has been. And I just keep that private. But I will do Instagram more and I will do Twitter more. I promise. And when you come back, you have to show me how to make a little video because
Heather, thank you so much for chatting.
You're welcome,
I will talk to you soon.
I love you.
We love you.
Bye.